This week on ANN, it is a week of education.
That's right. This week, ADRA launches their brand new advocacy campaign in Jordan.
And later we go to India to go learn about a new training seminar for communicators.
These stories and more coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, communicators from around the world are still in Jordan at the Global Adventist Internet Conference.
That's right. During the GAIN conference, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency launched their new advocacy campaign, Every Child, Everywhere in School.
The campaign is an urgent call to leaders around the world that all children, regardless of race, age, nationality, gender, religion, or origin, have a right to earn and complete an education. In that being in school is the recognition of the value and potential of each individual child.
The campaign aims to collect 1 million signatures by 2020 through grassroots efforts in collaboration with the Adventist World Church.
ADRA aims to petition world leaders to take action for children to receive a quality education and live free from exploitation and the shackles of intergenerational poverty.
Already, 131 ADRA offices around the world have pledged support for this global campaign.
To sign the petition and to get more resources, please visit adra.org/inschool.
Every scream I hear, every bullet blast, every breath I take might be my last.
Every brick I lift in the scorching heat, every breath we don't take, every meal we don't eat.
Every hurricane, every classroom flood, every textbook and dream buried under the mud.
Every moment alone, every day with no end, every vanishing hope for a classmate and friend.
Every childhood lost, every soon-to-be wife, every girl who was forced to hand over her life.
Every starving child, every refugee, every kid in the world deserves to feel free.
So enough with the screams and the bullet blasts. In school, I feel safe from the violence at last.
Enough with the bricks and the heat of the day. In school, I can finally learn, eat, and play.
Enough with the storms that cause chaos and pain. In school, we keep learning in spite of the rain.
Enough with the lonely days, all on my own. In school, I have friends and a welcoming home.
Enough with the girls who are forced to be wives.
In school, girls take back the control of their lives.
Every child,
everywhere,
just like me,
can find hope in school,
where we learn to be free.
Adventist Communication Training, or ACT, is a new initiative from the Communication Department of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
The goal of ACT is to educate and train local leaders to be effective communicators of the gospel in their churches and communities.
Recently, the first ACT training was held in India. Director of Communication for the Seventh-day Adventist World Church has more.
India. India is a country with more than 1.3 billion people. Its culture and traditions have bequeathed to the world unique and exotic cuisine, clothes, and customs. In India, traffic is heavy and there is often a lot of pollution. Apart from a lot of people, India has an enormous amount of cars, bicycles, vendors, and hordes. Driving around here is a different and a somewhat risky experience. India has one of the greatest symbols of love, the Taj Mahal. The main religion of the country is Hinduism. It is present in 80% of the population, which means that more than 1.1 billion people are Hindus. India has 1.5 million Seventh-day Adventists, but this means only 0.1% of the population. During this year, the Seventh-day Adventist World Church is concentrating much of its evangelistic efforts in India. Pastor Ted Wilson will be involved in a preaching campaign in Kolkata. We are here in the city of Kolkata, India. Kolkata is a very populous city. Here live millions of people, but unfortunately, the vast majority of these people do not know the love of Jesus. We came here to give special training to leaders of communication so that they support, in the month of June, a great initiative to take the love of God to the people. Kolkata has about 4.5 million inhabitants. Considering the metropolitan area, the city exceeds 14 million residents. The evangelistic campaign of Pastor Ted Wilson in Kolkata will be a sample of what will happen in India, where all Adventist churches will open their doors to the preaching of the gospel. The communication training was conducted in partnership with AWR, Adventist World Radio, and TMI, Total Member Involvement. This is the first act, Adventist Communication Training. During many years at the General Conference, we have dreamed with this program, and we are delighted to have the first act here in Calcutta. So praise the Lord for the opportunity for us to be together. ACT, Adventist Communication Training, began with the presentation of the movie Opposites. Opposites was produced to be the ACT's initial class.
One of the biggest cities in the world, the biggest in Brazil.
At the end, we asked the participants, why study?
Study is the greatest investment in life.
Study is the greatest investment in life. During the act, between the classes, typical songs inspired the students and teachers.
நீதிமானே ரட்சிக்கப்படுதல் அரிய செயல் என்றால் துரோகியின் நிலை என்ன ஐயோ துரோகியின் நிலை என்ன.
ACT classes were given to the local church communication leaders. The teachers were the communication directors for the local, regional, continental, and world fields of the Adventist Church. In the end, participants were given tests and exams. Then the graduation, when each student received a certificate. In addition to Kolkata, Pune and Bangalore also received ACT. More than 600 people participated in the training.
We are so impressed and amazed with the messages and the presentations that we have been listening from.
We are glad that this team from General Conference has come. I am quite convinced that this program has empowered me personally and learned the techniques of what need to be done when I communicate the gospel to the people around me.
It will be of great help what I have just learned here. we need to be good communicators, and then how we communicate to others, it should bring people closer to the Lord.
Let's continue saying in all languages, Jesus will soon come.
परमेश्वर दोबारा से जल्दी वापस आ रहा है.
Coming up, an Adventist school in Russia finds a unique way to engage children.
We'll be right back after the break. We may look, pray, read, think, worship, sing, and share differently, but we all look forward to the Sabbath. And we all look forward to the future when Jesus will come again. With this message in mind, we arrived at a core component for a new identity system, the creation grid, a simple 7-column structure for layout. The grid is a reference both to the prophetic timeline as well as to the creation week that culminated in the 7th-day Sabbath. The first 6 columns of the grid belong to the designer. It can be filled with anything: text, images, illustrations, patterns, and logos. But the 7th column, the Sabbath column, does not belong to them. It is meant to be different and special. Regardless of what or where you are designing, you can always find information to help you communicate that we are all Seventh-day Adventists.
Welcome back.
Our children are very often left to themselves in the modern world. Parents are busy and it's many times left to the schools to teach moral behavior.
Today, we would like to tell you about one of these schools, but it is not just a private school. This is an Adventist tutoring center called STEPS.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church in East Russia has more.
Как часто в современном мире наши дети предоставлены сами себе. Вечно занятые родители возлагают ответственность за воспитание на школу. Но в школе, в свою очередь, слишком много детей, чтобы научить их элементарной доброте, отзывчивости или морали. Как часто за ошибки воспитания прошлого приходится расплачиваться в будущем. Что же делать? Есть ли выход? Конечно, выход есть, и тут на помощь приходят частные школы. Про одну из таких школ мы бы хотели сегодня вам рассказать. Но это не просто частная школа, это христианский, адвентистский, репетиторский центр «Ступени».
Ручку мы сюда кладем, этим верхним пальчиком ее там держим, а сбоку нижним. И вот здесь должно расстояние быть вот такое, чтобы писать. Давай, держи. Ну-ка, как правильно ручку возьмем? Еще чуть-чуть пониже. Не торопись. Теперь вместе давай попробуем.
Какими дети вырастут, такими они будут строить то государство, в котором мы живем, и то общество, в котором мы живем, его законы соблюдать или не соблюдать. И от того, какими будут последующие поколения, вообще зависит жизнь человечества.
Уж и есть за что, Русь могучая, полюбить тебя, назвать матерью.
В первой половине дня у нас обучаются дети, которые выбрали форму семейного образования. Они имеют возможность получать знания буквально по всем предметам, включая информатику, иностранный язык, это с 1 класса. И даже у нас есть возможность детей обучать скрипке, те, которые учатся в музыкальной школе. Затем они по четвертям сдают экзамены в тех школах, к которым прикреплены. И я вам хочу сказать, что они сдают очень успешно, наши дети, потому что мы здесь почти индивидуально занимаемся с каждым ребенком.
Я сдаю тесты еще в общеобразовательной школе. В конце по четвертям, в конце года, на пятерке.
Ну, тут дети веселые, они знакомые, тут учителя добрые.
У нас образование христианское, и первый урок каждого рабочего дня у нас это урок доброты. И на этих уроках дети учатся многому. Наша школа, она помогает детям быть миролюбивыми, дружелюбными, находить понимание и во взаимоотношениях с другими людьми на каждом уровне жизни. Поэтому я думаю, они будут более успешными в будущем.
Размяли ручки, чтобы они слушались и буквы хорошенькие были, да, у нас получались. И вот так еще. Расслабим ручки. Ну все, пишем.
Вообще в церкви 11 человек, имеющих педагогическое образование. Абсолютное большинство из них имеют высшее педагогическое образование. И практически все они здесь трудятся, где-то как волонтеры, оказывая помощь, преподавая те или иные предметы.
Те предметы, которые ведутся в общеобразовательных школах, они у нас все ведутся. Но, естественно, вот на этих предметах, особенно если мы берем окружающий мир, то мы здесь детям рассказываем и библейскую точку зрения на происхождение Земли, планеты, растений и всего другого, и рассказываем точку зрения ученых, и дети уже делают правильный выбор сами. В заключение я хотела бы обратиться ко всем желающим. Вы можете прийти в нашу школу и привести своих детей, которым мы здесь можем дать очень качественные знания, которых мы можем научить быть дружелюбными, общительными, открытыми, счастливыми, целеустремленными и радостными. Мы рады каждому ребенку. Двери нашей школы открыты для всех.
А здесь школа хорошая, тут и друзья, можно с ними поговорить.
Тут все верующие, что они не дерутся, что все хорошо, что тут хорошие учителя, ты можешь с ними позаниматься индивидуально.
Мне учителя нравятся и школа.
Другая школа, добрее.
Coming up, Victoria Turrentine shares some resources to help you stay in shape.
But up next, Adventist Mission has a story of a special school in Botswana.
We were a group of women outside the city gate by the river at a place of prayer. Lydia, a dealer in purple cloth from Thyatira, was also there. 2 men came along and started to speak to us and asked to join us in prayer. We later learned that they were Paul and Silas. The Lord opened Lydia's heart to heed Paul's message. She and all the members of her household were baptized. Another day, Paul and Silas were on their way to a place of prayer. They were met by a female slave who had a spirit in her that could predict the future. She earned a lot of money for her owners by fortune-telling. She followed us and shouted at us. This was disrupting, and so Paul ordered the spirit out of her. When her owners realized that their chance of making money was gone, they dragged Paul and Silas to the authorities, and they were put in prison.
At around midnight, these 2 very positive prisoners named Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. The rest of us were listening to them. Suddenly there was a violent earthquake and the prison shook. All the prison doors flew open and everyone's chains came loose. The jailer woke up, saw all the doors open and drew his sword to kill himself. He thought all the prisoners had escaped, but Paul assured him and shouted that he should not harm himself. The jailer called for lights, rushed in and lay in front of them, trembling. The jailer accepted Jesus Christ and his whole family was baptized.
Welcome back.
Joanna decided she wanted to be clever after attending Week of Prayer at her Adventist school.
Wow, let's see how this school impacted students in the 2nd largest city in Botswana.
Adventist Mission has more.
6-year-old Joanna wrinkled her little nose at the food that Mother had placed on the table for supper. "I want to be clever," she announced. "I don't want to eat meat." Mother gasped in surprise. She had worked hard to prepare the traditional Botswanan meal in their home in Francistown, the second largest city in Botswana. She had set the table with beef stew, a maize porridge that resembles mashed potatoes, and bean leaves that look like spinach. Mother thought quickly. "Is that what you're being taught at school?" she asked. "Yes," Joanna said. "The pastor told us not to eat the wrong food. We should eat the right food so we can be clever." Mother asked more questions and learned that a week of prayer had just begun at Eastern Gate Primary School, where Joanna was studying in the first grade. The theme for the week of prayer was Daniel. That morning, the school pastor had described how Daniel and his 3 friends had refused to eat meat in King Nebuchadnezzar's palace in Babylon. Instead, they had eaten vegetables and become wise, strong men. "You aren't supposed to eat this meat, only vegetables," Joanna told Mother, pointing to the beef stew. "I want to be clever, like Daniel." Mother remembered hearing about the benefits of a vegetarian diet. Somehow she hadn't gotten around to trying it, but she felt happy that Joanna was learning about eating healthy food at her school. "Okay, I will do my best to cook the right food," Mother said. Joanna happily ate the maize porridge and bean leaves for supper. She didn't touch the beef stew. The next day, Mother went to the kitchen to prepare supper and remembered her daughter's desire to avoid meat. So she told Joanna's father and her 16-year-old brother that she wouldn't cook any meat for the rest of the week while Joanna learned about Daniel. Joanna's brother grumbled, but he finally agreed to eat the vegetables. Joanna was so happy. Every supper, she ate vegetables and other food without meat. 9 months have passed since that special week. Joanna still prefers vegetables, and Mother is trying to cook healthy meals without meat. Joanna believes that she made the right choice in following Daniel's example. The principal at Joanna's school agreed. Joanna is now at the top of her class, and the principal thinks this is because of her healthy meals and her faith that God will reward her choice.
When you eat vegetables, you become strong and healthy.
Joanna is learning valuable lessons at her school. Thank you for your 13 Sabbath offering in 2015, which helped pay for the construction of Joanna's school, Eastern Gate Primary School. It is the first Seventh-day Adventist primary school in northern Botswana and the 3rd in the country.
Watch this and other mission stories online by visiting AdventistMission.org. Then click on videos at the top.
We all want to be healthier and find new ways of taking care of our bodies.
That's right. Victoria Turrentine is here to tell you how you can use social media to learn more about living a healthy lifestyle.
Being healthy is one of the main topics that is being talked about in today's society. Questions that are being asked are, what is healthy for me, and how can I maintain a healthy diet, along with other important questions. Everyone has their own way of being healthy, but ways to stay on a healthy diet and stick to a diet once you have chosen one is to join a support group. There are many groups on Facebook and Instagram that will keep you in shape and encourage you to eat healthier. When you see a group you like, you can click on the like button or click the join the group, and updates about their posts will be added to your newsfeed. You can also visit Adventist Healthcare at blog.adventisthealthcare.com. You will find health tips and articles on how to have a healthy heart. In addition, for all those who like cooking along with a healthy diet, they have recipes to create a new dish and you can feel good while cooking. Doctors recommend working out for at least 15 minutes a day. You can go for longer walks or walk up and down your steps. Will be a great arm and leg exercise. Let's get moving.
And finally, for today's episode, let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history.
This week, we remember a man who gave his life to bring the gospel to difficult parts of the world.
This week in Adventist history, we tell the story of just one unassuming, tragic hero of Adventist mission to the Middle East and to Muslims. On February 27, 1882, Claude Daniel Moody was born in the U.S. state of Michigan. Claude became a pastor at 20, was married at 22, and widowed before he turned 24. After spending a year in training at Washington Foreign Missionary Seminary, Claude went as a missionary to the Ottoman Empire. On December 3, 1906, he arrived in its capital city, Constantinople. Today it is known as Istanbul and is the capital of Turkey. We have one photograph of C.D. Moody, but it's a wonderful one. It has a caption on the back that reads simply, "A group of believers in Asia Minor circa 1907, Elder Claude Moody standing in rear." Although he was the Western missionary, he hasn't positioned himself front and center in the place of honor. He stands modestly in the last row of the group, which consists of men and women, boys and girls, all at ease with this foreigner. This speaks eloquently about Claude Moody's character and personality. But it also speaks to the fact that he did not remain in Constantinople with its large expatriate American and European communities and comfortable lifestyle. Moody went outside his comfort zone because he wanted Turks, especially Muslims, to hear good news. But traveling widely and working long hours in early 20th century Asia involved taking risks. Moody contracted pulmonary tuberculosis. After less than 2 years in the mission field, he was so ill that, he wrote, "I found it necessary to make immediate plans to come to America." He departed Constantinople on January 10, 1909. Tragically, however, he was so weakened that, even once he was back in the United States, he never recovered. He died on July 23, 1911, after a very long, drawn-out illness. Moody was not yet 30 years old. But his story is far from unique. The expansion of the Seventh-day Adventist Church around the world was built on sacrifice and suffering. We should honor the memory of the many missionaries who gave their lives. And this week, we remember Claude D. Moody.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
We'd love to hear from you. Send us your feedback and tell us how your church is making a difference in its community.
That's right. Be sure to capture plenty of video footage and photos, then write up a summary of the event's important details. And feel free to send full video reports as well.
You can reach us by sending an email to annvideo11@gmail.com.
Now, before we say goodbye, here's some good news from the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9.
This passage says, "And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart."
Amen.
Amen indeed.
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.